The Millionaire Mindset, full audiobook. Introduction. They told you money was the root of evil. But what if it was only the shadow of your own forgotten divinity? There is a realm, unseen yet always near, where every thought takes form, where wealth is not earned, but remembered. Those who walk there are not chosen, they are awakened. Stay until the end, and you will see. You were never chasing riches. You were learning to remember your own power. Close your eyes. The air around you hums with the memory of creation. You stand before a vast temple, silent, ancient, and alive. Columns of light rise into eternity, each whispering a truth you once knew before the noise of the world made you forget. The floor beneath you glows with symbols that shift like water: abundance, power, dominion, not possessions, but principles. This is not a lesson. It is a remembrance. The path of the rich in spirit, the architects of wealth, has always been hidden in plain sight. Their gold was not the metal of the earth, it was the radiance of consciousness. Every empire, every dynasty, every vision that reshaped the world began not in the hands, but in the mind. You have been taught to chase the reflection, but now you are being shown the source. Imagine yourself standing before a mirror. The world you see, your bank account, your home, your struggles, is only the echo of your inner frequency. Wealth is not an external reward, it is a vibration. A song the soul sings when it remembers its infinite nature. Those who are rich have learned this melody. They walk not with arrogance, but with alignment. For them, thought is command, emotion is currency, faith is law. The poor in spirit, not in money, live in a trance of separation. They believe power is outside them, so they bow to it. But the awakened know the universe is not a marketplace, it is a mirror. Every belief, every word, every breath is a seed returning home as experience. You are the gardener of your reality, and your wealth, or your lack, is the harvest of your unseen prayers. There was a man who lived centuries ago, nameless now, yet eternal in parable. He was a shepherd, tending his flock beneath a silver sky. Each day he walked past a small stone lodged in the hillside. One day, weary and curious, he struck it, and beneath, the earth opened to reveal a vein of gold. He wept, not for the treasure, but for the blindness of his years. For he realized that all along, abundance had lived beneath his feet, waiting only for the touch of awareness. You are that shepherd, and this voice is your hammer. The rich are not born different. They are born ordinary and dare to think extraordinarily. They look upon the same world as you, yet see possibility where others see limitation. They feel the same fear, yet transmute it into faith. To them, money is not paper, it is energy, a living servant of intention. You may have thought this knowledge was forbidden, reserved for the elite, whispered only in private circles. But no, it was always written within you, sealed beneath layers of doubt and doctrine. The ancient texts called it the kingdom within. The mystics called it the field. Science calls it frequency. Different names. One truth: consciousness creates reality. When you begin to see yourself as the source, not the seeker, something shifts. The world rearranges itself to match the music of your belief. Opportunities appear where there were none. People align as if summoned by invisible law. Money flows, not as chase, but as consequence. Because money does not come to effort, it comes to certainty. The certainty that you are already enough. And yet, this journey is not about becoming rich, it is about becoming whole. The wealth you seek is not separate from your essence. It is the echo of your remembering. When you remember who you are, you no longer beg the world for abundance. You breathe, and it comes. In this temple of remembrance, you will be shown the architecture of divine wealth, the unseen laws that govern the seen world, the codes hidden within thought, emotion, and vision. You will walk through the corridors of creation, and each chapter will unveil another key. You will learn how the rich think, not in numbers, but in symbols. You will see how they move, not in haste, but in harmony. You will feel how they believe, not from hope, but from knowing. And as you listen, your own frequency will rise. Your mind will begin to mirror the mind of the Creator. The illusion of lack will dissolve, and what was once called miracle will become your natural rhythm. These words are not meant to inspire you. They are meant to awaken you. You are not learning something new. You are remembering what you have always known. Every truth you hear tonight was written in your soul long before the stars found their light. As the journey unfolds, I ask only this: do not analyze. Feel. Let each word strike the chords of memory. Let each pause become a door. You are entering a realm where thought becomes light and belief becomes law. You are crossing the threshold between wishing and knowing, between hoping and creating. And when you reach the end, you will look at yourself and the world and whisper the one truth that frees all who remember: I was never seeking wealth. I was wealth remembering itself. You will never see yourself the same again. Chapter 1. The Hidden Architecture of Belief. The universe does not respond to your words. It responds to your state. The poor plead with language. The rich command through vibration. Before any fortune was made, before any empire rose, there was a moment, quiet, unseen, when someone believed differently. That was the true beginning of wealth. Not the first coin, not the first business, not the first transaction, but the first shift in awareness. The mind that once said, "I hope," whispered instead, "I am." In that instant, the unseen world rearranged itself. The seed of abundance cracked open. That is how creation begins. Not with effort, but with recognition. The rich live in a different atmosphere of mind. They have trained themselves to see from the end, to walk in the invisible long before the visible appears. It is not arrogance, it is law. Like the farmer who plants a seed and sleeps, knowing the soil will keep its promise, they rest in certainty. This certainty is not passive, it is magnetic. It draws all things toward it. Their faith is their gravity. The poor, by contrast, live by sight. They wait to see before they believe. But life belongs to those who believe before they see. You are not meant to chase outcomes. You are meant to embody them. Once, there was a young sculptor who labored endlessly to shape marble into angels. Yet every time he struck, the stone resisted him. In despair, he sought out an elder craftsman who said only this: "Do not try to create the angel. Remove what is not the angel." That night, something awakened within him. He realized his task was not to build beauty, but to reveal it. Wealth, too, is carved this way. You are not building prosperity from scratch. You are chiseling away the disbelief that hides it. The divine sculpture of abundance already lives within your consciousness, waiting for your faith to set it free. Belief is not repetition. It is not the loud chanting of affirmations without knowing their power. Belief is silent conviction, the kind that reshapes your inner temperature. When you believe, your mind and body conspire with the unseen. Synchronicities appear. People call it luck, but it is law. The field of reality bends to the mind that knows what it is. Those who live richly are not those who have more, but those who are more, internally expanded, inwardly luminous, aligned with the current of creation itself. Their thoughts do not wander between doubt and hope. They rest in the stillness of knowing, "It is done." You must begin where you stand, not by wishing for wealth, but by recognizing that your desire is proof of its availability. Desire is the echo of what already exists for you in the unseen. The poor call desire a lack, the rich call it guidance. Every longing is a message from your future self calling you home. When you say, "I want to be rich," the universe hears, "I do not yet believe." But when you say, "I am wealthy, though my senses have not yet caught up," creation bows to your awareness. The soil cannot refuse the seed that knows what it is. And so, in this chapter, the first teaching is this: you do not become what you want, you become what you believe. Belief is the alchemy of the soul. When you shift your inner conviction, you shift your world. From this day forward, let every thought, every word, every breath affirm the invisible architecture of your divinity. You are not the beggar of fate, you are its builder. Every limitation you once feared was only a forgotten belief, waiting to be rewritten. You are the sculptor and the marble, the dreamer and the dream. The rich do not think differently because they are rich. They are rich because they think differently. Chapter 2. The sacred exchange of energy. Wealth is not a number. It is a current. It moves like wind through those who understand its rhythm. The poor chase it, clutching at air, while the rich become its vessel. When you understand that money is not an object but a frequency, everything changes. The universe does not pay you for effort, it responds to alignment. You are not rewarded for toil, but for resonance. When your inner state sings in harmony with abundance, wealth finds you as effortlessly as rivers find the sea. The moment you stop chasing and begin embodying, the current shifts. You cease to be a beggar of fate and become the conductor of unseen law. The truth the ancients knew, and the rich still remember, is that all things are energy in motion. Thought is energy, emotion is energy. Money, too, is energy, carrying the imprint of the one who holds it. This is why some seem to attract fortune wherever they go, while others labor endlessly and find none. It is not luck, it is law. The rich are not attached to money, they are attuned to flow. When money leaves them, it returns magnified, for they understand its sacred circulation. They give not to lose, but to release stagnation. They spend not in fear, but in faith that every outflow births an inflow. There was once a merchant in a forgotten desert city. Every day he sold spices and silks, earning just enough to survive. Yet each evening he poured water from his clay jar into the dry earth outside his home. "Why waste your water?" the others asked. He smiled and said, "Because this place remembers generosity." Years passed, and one morning, where he had poured water, a spring emerged, pure and endless. His small act of faith had opened a covenant with abundance itself. The rich are like that merchant. They understand the secret pact. Whatever you release in faith must return, for nature despises a vacuum and fills it with the same spirit that created worlds. But hear this: the exchange is not only material. The energy of your thoughts, your intentions, your emotions, all of it is currency. When you speak lack, you spend belief. When you feel gratitude, you invest frequency. The poor trade fear, the rich circulate faith. Every inner reaction sends a ripple through the field of creation, and that field always mirrors back your tone. If you want more, give more. Not out of strategy, but from truth. Give your excellence, your presence, your peace. Each is an offering that multiplies itself in the unseen. The rich do not give to impress the world, they give to converse with God. And yet, there is a higher mystery. Wealth is not about possession but permission. The universe will only pour through a vessel that believes itself worthy to receive. The poor doubt their own hands. The rich trust their divine inheritance. This worthiness is not ego, it is remembrance. It is knowing you were never separate from the source, that abundance was not something you needed to earn, but something you had to remember. When you believe in your unworthiness, you block the river. When you awaken to your divinity, the river becomes you. You stop asking for the cup to be filled and realize you are the ocean. So, understand this now. Money is the shadow of your energy, following wherever your consciousness leads. Chase the shadow, and it flees. Stand in your light, and it returns. You are the center of the sacred exchange. Every dollar, every opportunity, every miracle begins with you. You are the law made flesh. You are the spring in the desert. To master the art of receiving, you must master the art of being, and when you finally know this, not as idea, but as embodiment, the world will mirror it back to you in overflowing measure. Chapter 3. The Invisible Laws of Creation. Creation is not random, it is precise. Every outcome you experience, wealth or struggle, gain or loss, is not chance but echo. You are standing inside a cosmic mirror that shows not what you wish but what you believe. The world is not happening to you, it is happening through you. Each thought is a seed cast into the fertile soil of eternity, and each emotion is the water that decides whether it grows. The rich understand this law instinctively. They think not of circumstances but of states. They do not ask, "What must I do to be wealthy?" They ask, "Who must I become to match the vibration of wealth?" They understand that the outer is born from the inner, that action without alignment is labor, but action with belief is creation. This law was whispered by the mystics, hidden in scripture, and encoded in parables. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. These are not poetic words. They are mechanical law. The universe rearranges itself to mirror your inner frequency. If you dwell on scarcity, the mirror reflects lack. If you dwell on abundance, the mirror reflects plenty. This is why the rich do not wait for proof. They live as proof. They act from the end, walking as though the unseen is already seen. And because the field of reality cannot contradict conviction, it must obey. The poor look at the world and see evidence of their fear. The rich look at the same world and see the reflection of their faith. Once, there was a fisherman who lived on the edge of a vast lake. Each morning he cast his net, and each evening he returned with only small fish. A stranger watching one day asked why he threw the large fish back into the water. The fisherman smiled and said, "Because my pan is small." The stranger laughed, but the parable endured. Life can only give to you the size of your receptivity. You cannot hold more than you believe you deserve. The rich expanded their inner pan long before they touched a coin. They did not wait to become ready. They decided they were. The decision itself reshaped the container of their fate. So, how does one align with the law? You begin with awareness, the sacred seeing of your own mind. Watch what you rehearse in imagination. Notice what you feel when you think of wealth. Do you expand or contract? Every contraction is a belief that must die. Every expansion is a doorway opening. You are not trying to convince the universe, you are calibrating yourself to its truth. The law is impartial. It gives to all according to their inner state. The rain falls on both the just and the unjust, but only the open field receives it. This is why self-concept is the cornerstone of abundance. You do not manifest what you want, you manifest what you are conscious of being. The rich are not obsessed with the world, they are obsessed with consciousness. They know that the invisible governs the visible. When they meditate, visualize, or speak affirmations, they are not begging the divine, they are tuning to it. They know emotion is a generator, thought is a mold, and imagination is the womb of creation. When they picture success, they do not hope it happens. They feel it as already real. And that feeling, that sacred assumption, becomes command. The universe bends to the authority of belief. Those who understand this walk in quiet certainty. They know that the unseen is not delayed. It is simply aligning itself to the frequency of their faith. So, let this be your revelation. The law of creation is constant, perfect, and impartial. It cannot fail, only you can forget. If you would change your world, you must first change your inner conversation. Speak differently to yourself. Feel differently about your future. Imagine with the reverence of a God remembering its power. When you do, the mirror will respond, reality will ripple, doors will open, coincidences will align, and you will stand as witness to the eternal truth, that nothing was ever missing, only unremembered. Chapter 4. The Divine Identity of Wealth. You are not here to become wealthy. You are here to remember that you already are. The essence of abundance was woven into your being before you ever took a breath. You were born from infinite substance, the same energy that hung the stars and gave birth to oceans. To believe yourself poor is to live in divine amnesia. The moment you awaken, wealth ceases to be something you chase and becomes something that recognizes you. The rich are not chasing success. They are allowing it to meet them. They have remembered their source, that their identity, when purified of limitation, is not human striving, but divine creation. When you know this, truly know it, you begin to speak with the voice of the infinite, and creation rushes to obey. The universe mirrors your concept of self with absolute precision. You cannot escape your own reflection. If you believe yourself to be struggling, you will find endless proof of struggle. If you see yourself as abundant, doors appear where walls once stood. This is why the rich guard their inner image with sacred discipline. They curate their self-concept the way a gardener tends the soil. They do not allow gossip, fear, or envy to take root. They understand that the mind is a temple and thought is its prayer. Every self-perception is an offering. When you identify with lack, you pray to a false god, a god of limitation that you yourself have carved. But when you affirm your divine inheritance, you align with the true source. You begin to vibrate with the consciousness of creation itself, and everything that matches that frequency becomes magnetized to you. There was once a prince who wandered far from his kingdom. Over the years, he forgot who he was. He worked as a servant, begged for food, and believed himself ordinary. One day, a traveler passed through the village and saw the crest on the prince's old medallion. "Do you not know," the traveler asked, "that you are heir to a vast empire?" But the prince laughed bitterly. "If I were royal," he said, "would I be here in rags?" The traveler smiled softly. "You are not poor because you lack wealth," he said. "You are poor because you have forgotten your name." That night, as the prince held the medallion and remembered, his world began to shift. Messengers came, horses arrived. The kingdom returned to him, not as a gift, but as recognition. This is the parable of identity. You are not earning riches, you are awakening to them. Wealth begins in being, not in doing. The rich understand this sacred paradox. When you act from lack, every effort multiplies absence. When you act from fullness, even the smallest motion carries divine power. They know that external success is the reflection of internal certainty. It is not what they do that matters most. It is who they are when they do it. When they speak as one who already possesses. When they plan from completion, not desperation. They have crossed the threshold of self-doubt and entered the state of knowing. This knowing is not arrogance, it is remembrance. It is the soul saying, "I am as my source is, infinite, creative, abundant. Every moment lived in that consciousness radiates power, and that power reorganizes the material world. Your outer life is not delayed by circumstance. It is delayed by identification. You cannot rise above the image you hold of yourself. If you believe yourself undeserving, you will unconsciously repel every opportunity that contradicts that belief. If you secretly feel unworthy of luxury, peace, or prosperity, the universe will honor that conviction with surgical precision. But the instant you claim your divine identity, not in words, but in vibration, the whole structure of your reality begins to move. The law cannot resist a consciousness that knows itself as divine. The world bows to those who have remembered who they are. You must therefore speak to yourself as one who commands reality, not pleads with it. Begin to affirm not from desire, but from embodiment. I am abundance in form. I am prosperity, thinking itself into shape. Let these words become your living atmosphere. Do not look to results for confirmation. Let your conviction become its own evidence. In time, reality will follow. It must, for the law cannot break its own reflection. When you understand this, fear evaporates. You no longer ask, "How will it come?" You simply rest in knowing that it must. You do not wait for wealth. You walk as it. You do not wish for power. You breathe it. This is the sacred inheritance of the awakened mind, not to create wealth as a separate thing, but to embody it as your natural state. And when you reach this level of remembrance, life becomes holy again. Work becomes worship. Exchange becomes energy. Every transaction becomes an offering to the divine within all things. The rich are not separate from God. They are conscious expressions of the law. To be rich is not to hoard, it is to flow, to expand, to multiply the good that moves through you. You were not sent here to survive, you were sent here to create, to demonstrate that heaven is not elsewhere, but here, within you, breathing through your every decision, whispering through your every desire. You are the evidence that the infinite became form. And so, when you next look into the mirror, see more than a body or a story. See the architect of reality looking back. Remember your true name, the one spoken in light before time began. Speak it in silence. Feel its vibration in your bones. And as you do, wealth will begin to remember you, as surely as the sun remembers to rise. For identity is destiny. You cannot outrun what you believe yourself to be. And once you believe yourself divine, the world will kneel to reflect your divinity. Chapter 5. The mind that commands fortune. There is a current that runs beneath all things, silent, infinite, and obedient. It listens not to your voice, but to your vibration. You cannot deceive it, for it does not speak in words. It reads your conviction, the unseen pulse of your being. The rich understand this sacred intelligence. They do not beg it to serve them, they become it. Their thoughts are not scattered but singular. They do not dwell in doubt, for they have learned that uncertainty is the only poverty. To command fortune is not to control the world, but to master the inner kingdom from which the world is born. You do not conquer matter by striving. You command it by remembering who you are. The universe was designed to mirror consciousness. When you know this, you stop wrestling with circumstances and begin shaping them from within. The poor cry, "When will things change?" The rich whisper, "Things have already changed, because I have." This is the secret. Transformation does not happen to you. It happens through you. Every time you shift your self-concept, the universe reconfigures itself around that vibration. The old conditions collapse, the old patterns dissolve, and new forms rush to meet your new frequency. The rich live in a state of certainty, and that certainty is magnetic. Their power is not force, it is stillness. They walk through chaos like fire through wind, untouchable because they do not identify with the storm. Once, a warrior laid down his sword and asked a monk, "How do I conquer my enemies?" The monk smiled and said, "Stop calling them enemies." The warrior was confused. "If I do that, they will still come for me." The monk replied, "They come because you call them." That was the day the warrior understood. His outer battles had been born from his inner naming. Wealth, too, bows to identity. When you name yourself poor, you summon lack. When you call yourself blessed, the field of reality rearranges itself to prove you right. The rich have learned to name themselves as creators, not victims. They do not wait for evidence. They speak truth until the world echoes it. Every empire begins in imagination. The poor dismiss this as fantasy. The rich understand it as blueprint. The unseen is not unreal, it is unformed. When you dwell in a vision long enough, it condenses into matter. This is how the divine mind works through you. The world calls it luck, timing, coincidence. But beneath every coincidence is consciousness. You are the architect of every detail in your life, though you may have designed most of it unconsciously. Now you must awaken to your authorship. No longer drift as the effect, rise as the cause. This is what the ancients meant when they said, "You are made in the image of God." It was never about flesh, it was about mind, the creative principle made visible. To command fortune, you must think with precision and emotion in harmony. Thought is direction, emotion is propulsion. When both align, the law obeys instantly. The rich do not think casually, they think architecturally. Every idea is deliberate, every emotion is chosen. They do not indulge in complaint or envy, for they know these are expensive thoughts that drain their field of creation. Instead, they cultivate gratitude, imagination, and certainty. Gratitude anchors them in sufficiency. Imagination expands their horizon. Certainty fuses both into reality. You cannot attract wealth while rehearsing lack. You must think only from the end, as if the manifestation is already complete. When this inner conviction becomes unshakable, reality has no choice but to comply. Remember this truth. The mind that commands fortune is not loud, but still. It does not plead, it proclaims. It does not chase, it allows. When your mind rests in the knowing of its divine authority, the whole cosmos bends to serve your will. You were not born to struggle for abundance. You were born to express it. To think as the rich is to think as God thinks, in wholeness, in completion, in creation. When you speak from that awareness, the vibration of your words carries the power of command. And life, in its infinite obedience, rushes to fulfill it. You need not wonder how or when, only that it must. For the universe is not against you, it is you, reflected. Chapter 6. The frequency of faith. Faith is the original currency of creation. Long before gold glittered in the sun, before numbers were etched into ledgers, faith moved mountains and called form out of the void. The rich are not those who have mastered business. They are those who have mastered belief. They have learned the secret pulse of the universe, that everything seen was once sustained by something unseen. Faith is not blind, it is visionary. It does not wait for proof, it is the proof. It is the vibration that says, "I have already received," while the senses still whisper, "Not yet." This paradox is the furnace of manifestation. The poor wait for sight to believe. The rich believe until sight appears. To live in faith is to live as the cause, not the effect. To stand in the unseen with such authority that the visible world must kneel to your conviction Faith begins where logic ends. It is not the denial of reason, it is its transcendence. Logic says, "This cannot be." Faith replies, "It already is." Logic sees the seed, faith sees the forest. The rich walk in this unseen forest daily, touching what others call imagination and calling it home. Their success stories are not products of chance, but of inner certainty, cultivated like flame in the wind. Each moment they choose faith over fear, they are writing new equations into the field of reality. And reality, being obedient to consciousness, must solve for their conviction. The poor say, "I will believe when I see." The rich say, "I see because I believe." That is the great reversal, the hidden code that opens all gates. There was once a sailor who set out across a fog-covered sea. He carried no map, only a compass that pointed toward the unseen. Each night, the mist thickened, and his crew begged to turn back. But the sailor smiled. "The stars have not moved," he said, "only our sight." And so he sailed, trusting the direction more than the appearance. At dawn on the seventh day, the fog parted to reveal a golden shore. He had not found it by chance, he had created it by faith. This is the story of every rich soul. They do not navigate by conditions, but by conviction. Their compass is internal. Their faith is the light that burns the fog of circumstance. To live by faith is not to ignore reality. It is to recognize that reality itself is fluid, pliable, obedient. The rich are not delusional optimists. They are spiritual engineers. They understand that their thoughts broadcast frequencies and that the universe is a grand receiver, echoing back the vibration of belief. Fear and doubt send out static. Faith sends out clarity. The clearer your inner signal, the faster reality responds. When your heart and mind are united in faith, even the laws of probability bow. The world rearranges with precision, synchronizing people, timing, and opportunity as if guided by invisible hands. You will call it coincidence until you realize it is design, a reflection of your own trust. Yet faith cannot coexist with fear, for fear is the worship of a lesser God, the God of limitation. The poor pray to that God daily, kneeling before every what if. The rich bow only to possibility. They refuse to let fear write the script. This does not mean they never feel it. It means they transmute it. They turn fear into fuel, resistance into refinement. Each time fear whispers, "You cannot," faith answers, "Watch me." That single phrase, spoken with the authority of the divine, becomes a spell that reshapes destiny. The moment you feel fear, you are standing before a door. You may retreat, or you may step through. The rich always step through. Faith, when perfected, becomes knowing, and knowing is creation in motion. You must live as though the outcome were inevitable, as though every unseen force were conspiring for you. And it is. The universe has never denied a heart that refused to doubt. When your faith is whole, your words become law, your visions become matter, and your life becomes testimony. The frequency of faith is the sound of God remembering itself through you. When you vibrate at that pitch, the world ceases to be resistance and becomes reflection. Wealth, love, health, all follow. For the one who walks in faith commands not by effort but by essence. Chapter 7. The Law of Inner Gold. There is a treasure buried in every soul, a reservoir of radiant power, untouched by time, untouched by circumstance. The poor spend lifetimes searching for it in the outer world, in salaries, approval, possessions, and praise. The rich understand that the true gold is within. This gold is consciousness itself, awareness purified of fear. When the mind remembers its own divinity, the outer world reorganizes to reflect it. Every kingdom, every fortune, every legacy that has ever existed began as this inner remembrance. The rich live not by acquisition, but by recognition. They recognize that abundance is not achieved, it is revealed. The poor say, "I will have more when I earn it." The rich say, "I already am more, therefore it must appear." Inner gold cannot be mined through effort. It is uncovered through stillness. Beneath the noise of the world, beneath your doubt, beneath the identity of limitation, there lies a quiet radiance that has never dimmed. It does not ask for permission to exist, it simply is. The moment you become aware of it, you are transformed. The rich have mastered this awareness. They move through life not as beggars of circumstance, but as sovereign creators. Their wealth is not confined to bank accounts or business empires. It is a frequency that colors everything they touch. You can feel it in their calm, their certainty, their unhurried grace. This is the aura of inner gold, the silent glow of a soul that knows it cannot lose. Once, an alchemist sought to turn lead into gold. For years he burned his hands and failed. His beard grayed, his heart hardened. One night, exhausted and humbled, he fell to his knees and whispered, "Perhaps the gold was never in the metal, but in me." In that moment of surrender, he saw clearly. The furnace was never outside. The transmutation was inward. The next morning, though the metals on his table remained dull, his world shimmered differently. He began to prosper, not because he had found a formula, but because he had remembered who was behind the formula. This is the alchemy of consciousness. When you awaken to your own radiance, everything external bends toward it. The poor hoard, the rich radiate. Hoarding is fear disguised as strategy, a belief that life can abandon you. But life is not your enemy, it is your echo. The rich give because they know they cannot be diminished. Their giving is not loss, it is declaration. When they release, they affirm trust in the infinite. Their generosity becomes magnetism. The universe rushes to fill every space they open. Money, love, opportunity, all are drawn to the vessel that flows. The poor, fearing loss, close their fists and wonder why their hands are empty. But closed hands cannot receive. The law is merciless only to ignorance. To the wise, it is merciful beyond measure. Your consciousness is the furnace. Your beliefs are the fire, the raw material of your experience. Every event, every challenge, every scarcity is the lead you must refine. The rich do not curse their trials, they use them. Every obstacle is a crucible for transmutation. When they lose, they do not ask, "Why me?" They ask, "What part of me is being purified?" They know that the universe never punishes, it polishes. The poor call it failure. The rich call it refinement. And through this refinement, their gold grows brighter. For every fear transmuted into faith, every doubt melted into knowing, another layer of their divine wealth is revealed. Understand this. The law of inner gold is simple. You can only possess externally what you have accepted internally. If you do not feel rich in consciousness, no amount of money will convince you otherwise. It will flee, just as the reflection disappears when the mirror cracks. The outer world is only ever a servant of the inner. To change your fortune, you must change your frequency. Begin each day by remembering, you are the alchemist, not the ore. You are the source, not the seeker. Speak wealth into being not as request, but as reminder. You are made of the same substance that holds galaxies together. Infinite, luminous, indestructible. When you live from this truth, every cell vibrates with power, every step carries purpose, and every moment becomes holy. Chapter 8. The Kingdom of Circumstance. The world you walk through is not solid. It is liquid light, shaped and reshaped by your consciousness. Circumstance is not sovereign, it is servant. The poor live as though conditions dictate their fate. They believe the market decides their worth, that politics shape their future, that luck determines their rise. The rich have remembered a deeper truth. Circumstance obeys belief. What you call life is only the outpicturing of your inner vibration. You cannot escape it, for it is you, externalized. You are the painter, and reality is your canvas. You are the king, and circumstance is your court. The poor bow before their kingdom, pleading for mercy. The rich rule it with quiet command. They know the world bends to the mind that has remembered its throne. This throne is consciousness, the silent seat within where creation begins. Every law of manifestation flows from this single awareness. Nothing has power over you unless you believe it does. The rich understand this intuitively. When challenges arise, they do not react, they reinterpret. They see not obstacles, but instructions. The poor see walls, the rich see architecture. They have learned that the outer world is a projection, a divine hologram responding precisely to their inner state. If they desire new conditions, they first change the state of the one observing them. They do not wait for peace to come, they become peace. They do not chase opportunity, they embody it. In this way, they master what the mystics once called dominion, the power to shape reality from within. Consider the parable of the two seeds. Both were planted in the same field, watered by the same rain, and kissed by the same Sunday. Yet one grew tall, while the other withered. When asked why, the first seed said, "I believed I was meant for the sky." The second said, "I feared the darkness beneath the soil." So it is with men. The poor curse the soil that buries them, not realizing they are being planted. The rich trust the unseen season. They know the darkness is not death, but gestation. Every delay, every detour, every dry season is working for them, not against them. The law is perfect. It never forgets. It never fails. Only our impatience blinds us to its rhythm. Circumstance has no intelligence of its own. It borrows yours. This is why two people can face the same event and emerge in opposite directions. One breaks, the other builds. One curses, the other creates. It is not what happens, but who it happens to that matters. The rich have trained themselves to see through the illusion of crisis. They understand that events are neutral until named. The act of naming is creation itself. To call something a loss is to decree lack. To call it a lesson is to decree transformation. Words are spells, and your vocabulary is your wand. The poor use words to describe reality. The rich use words to command it. Speak carefully. Every sentence is a seed. But hear this mystery. Even the richest in spirit are not exempt from storms. The difference is that they do not mistake storms for signs of failure. They know that thunder does not destroy the sky, it clears it. When the winds rise, they expand their sails. When the tides shift, they shift with them. They have learned the rhythm of creation. That contraction precedes expansion. That loss is the sculptor of gain. The poor collapse in fear, the rich surrender in faith. Their surrender is not weakness but wisdom, the recognition that resistance delays while trust accelerates. Circumstance bends quickest to those who are unafraid of change, and so you must learn this law. Nothing external has ever ruled you. The job, the debt, the betrayal, the drought. These are not masters but mirrors. They exist to show you what you have forgotten about yourself. When you remember your power, the mirror must change. This is the kingdom of circumstance, not a prison, but a playground. You are not trapped within it. You are shaping it with every breath. Speak with sovereignty. Walk as one who knows that the world is listening. You are not a creature of condition, you are its creator. Once you know this, truly know it, the storms will bow, the walls will open, and even the stones will move to make way for your steps. For all of creation has only one command: reflect the one who remembers. Chapter 9. The invisible economy of the soul. We are all traders in a marketplace older than time. An invisible economy where thoughts are currency, emotions are exchange, and belief is capital. The poor think this world is governed by coins and contracts. The rich know it is governed by vibration and value. In this higher commerce, every idea you nurture, every emotion you sustain, sends a signal into the field of creation. That signal returns as experience. When you understand this, wealth ceases to be mysterious. The rich are not lucky, they are fluent. They have learned to trade in energy, to invest in peace, to transact in vision, to purchase their future through the currency of faith. Every moment is a negotiation with the unseen. The question is never, can I afford it, but can I believe it? The poor sell their attention cheaply. They spend it on gossip, fear, and distraction. The rich invest theirs like sacred seed. They know attention is creation, that whatever you look upon with emotion becomes your world. They do not waste it on scarcity, for they understand that every focus is a prayer. The more they attend to abundance, the more abundance multiplies. This is not metaphor, it is metaphysics. The universe operates by exact resonance. Like attracts like, frequency calls to frequency, and thought, when sustained with feeling, becomes matter. The poor call it luck when the rich manifest easily, not realizing that the rich have simply learned to attend to only that which aligns with their vision. There was once a farmer whose field yielded both wheat and weeds. He cursed the earth and blamed the sky. A passing sage watched him and said, "Do not blame the field, it only returns the seeds you planted." The farmer fell silent, for he realized that in his haste and worry he had sown carelessly. So it is with consciousness. Life does not discriminate. It grows whatever you plant. The poor scatter seeds of fear and call the harvest unfair. The rich sow with intention, knowing every thought will one day bloom. This is the invisible economy. The mind is the marketplace, the heart is the measure, and the harvest never lies. In this realm, gratitude is the highest currency. The rich practice it not as ritual, but as recognition. Gratitude multiplies what it acknowledges. Complaint diminishes what it touches. The poor use gratitude as a transaction. I will be thankful when I have more. The rich use it as declaration. I am thankful, therefore I have more. Gratitude opens the circuit of flow. It tells the universe, I am ready to receive. Fear tells it, I am not enough. The law listens perfectly. Every feeling is a signal sent to infinity, and infinity always replies. This is why the rich do not wait for miracles. They generate them. Their gratitude keeps their vibration high, their hearts open, their channels clear. They give thanks before the manifestation because they already know it exists in the unseen. Understand this. Wealth is not stored in banks, but in consciousness. Every material fortune begins as a spiritual deposit. You cannot withdraw from a balance you have not yet built within. The poor chase transactions. The rich build transmissions. Their wealth flows not because they earn more, but because they are more. They have cultivated inner equity, a state of being that guarantees outward flow. To envy them is to misunderstand them. Their wealth is not greed, it is mastery. They do not take from the world, they expand it. Every rich soul adds to the field of abundance by living as its proof. When you see their success, see not privilege, but permission. The universe showing you what is possible when you remember who you are. And so the invisible economy continues, pulsing through every breath. You are trading energy every moment, with yourself, with others, with life. When you dwell in resentment, you purchase more of what you despise. When you dwell in joy, you invest in expansion. Choose your trades wisely. Remember, the ledger of the soul never forgets. Every choice is recorded in the fabric of creation. Every vibration has a return. If you would live richly, begin now. Spend your attention on beauty. Invest your thought in possibility. And tithe your gratitude to the infinite. In time, your life will overflow. You will find that what you once called miracle was simply good accounting, the mathematics of a soul that learned to trade only in gold. Chapter 10. The Field of Unseen Power. There is a realm so vast, so precise, that every whisper of your mind rearranges it. The mystics called it the field, the prophets called it the kingdom, and modern science calls it quantum potential. The rich live with one foot in this invisible world and one in the visible. They have learned the language of energy, the rhythm of causation. They know that to command the outer, one must first master the inner, for the inner is the blueprint, the outer merely the echo. The poor live only in the echo, reacting, fearing, chasing, never realizing they are moving shadows upon a wall of their own making. The rich move within the source itself, quietly, deliberately, as artists in the workshop of the divine. To walk in mastery of this field is not to force life, but to flow with it. The rich do not struggle against the current, they become the current. They understand that energy moves in cycles, thought, feeling, form, and return. When they think a thought of wealth, they feel it into being. That feeling solidifies into form, that form circulates back as experience. This is not philosophy, it is the architecture of creation. The poor interrupt the cycle. They think a thought of abundance, feel unworthy, then speak doubt, and the field returns confusion. The rich maintain coherence. They hold their thought and emotion in harmony long enough for the invisible to crystallize into matter. To them, faith is not fragile, it is physics. Imagine standing before a vast mirror that does not reflect your face, but your frequency. Every vibration you emit returns as reality. The rich polish this mirror daily through awareness. They monitor their inner dialogue the way a musician tunes a violin. If a discordant note arises, fear, envy, doubt, they transmute it immediately. They understand that the field amplifies whatever you offer it. If you give it fear, it multiplies reasons to be afraid. If you give it gratitude, it multiplies reasons to be grateful. The poor think prayer changes God. The rich know it changes the one who prays. They commune not to ask but to align. Their prayer is silent recognition. I and the source are one, therefore I lack nothing. There was once a mystic who taught his students that the world is a screen and the mind is the projector. One day a pupil complained, "Master, I see only chaos." The mystic smiled, then changed the film. The student protested, "But the scenes are real." The master replied, "Yes, real reflections of your belief." So the student began to imagine differently. He pictured order, abundance, peace. At first, nothing changed. But as days passed, the people around him grew kinder, his affairs smoother, his fortune brighter. The screen had not resisted, it had simply been waiting for a new reel. This is the law of the field. Reality cannot oppose consciousness, it only performs it. The rich use this law as artists use light. They visualize with clarity, speak with conviction, and act with faith. They never beg the universe for permission because they know they are the universe expressing itself. Every dream is a seed of divine intention. The moment you see it, it is already real in the unseen. The only task is to maintain its frequency until it condenses into form. The poor let the dream fade under the weight of doubt. The rich hold it steady until the world yields. This is how unseen power becomes tangible prosperity. They are not gifted more than others. They are disciplined in consciousness. They rehearse abundance until the universe has no choice but to perform it. And here lies the highest mystery. The field does not care who you are, only what you believe yourself to be. It is law without bias, creation without morality. It responds to kings and beggars alike, for both are fragments of the same infinite mind. To the one who says, "I am rich," it says, "Yes." To the one who says, "I am poor," it says, "Yes." The field cannot deny its own reflection. Therefore, the rich do not strive to manipulate it. They strive to embody truth. They dwell in the awareness that everything is energy, that energy obeys attention, and that attention guided by faith becomes creation. You are not outside this law. You are its living center. The unseen is not distant. It breathes through you. Speak to it as you would speak to your own soul, with reverence, with certainty, with remembrance. Chapter 11. The art of becoming. To become wealthy is not to acquire, but to allow. You are not building a life, you are remembering one. Every version of you already exists in the infinite field. The poor one, the rich one, the doubter, the creator. Each is a frequency, waiting to be tuned into. The rich understand this. They do not chase wealth. They become the one who has it. They step into alignment with that higher version of self through vibration, thought, and certainty. The poor look outward, believing they must first earn the right to abundance. The rich look inward, knowing they must first assume the identity that matches it. Creation does not come from striving, but from embodiment. The universe mirrors who you are, not what you want. The transformation begins in imagination. Every miracle in history began as a mental picture held with unwavering conviction. The poor dismiss imagination as fantasy. The rich treat it as blueprint. To imagine is to create. It is the act of becoming before becoming. The ancients knew this truth and hid it in plain sight. As within, so without. What you repeatedly feel within yourself must appear around you, for feeling is the language of creation. The rich live from the feeling of already having. They dwell in completion, and reality rearranges to agree. The poor dwell in waiting, and reality obeys their delay. It is not the world that resists them, it is their refusal to feel worthy of their own power. There was once a sculptor who dreamed of carving an angel so lifelike it would seem to breathe. Each morning he stared at the uncut marble, paralyzed by its enormity. One day, a passing traveler asked what troubled him. "I fear I will fail," said the sculptor. The traveler smiled. "Then stop fearing failure and start being the one who has already finished." That night, the sculptor closed his eyes and imagined the angel complete. He felt the pride, the peace, the certainty of its existence. The next morning his hands moved as if guided. The marble yielded. Weeks later, the angel stood radiant in the sunday. His skill had not changed, only his state. This is the art of becoming, to embody the end so completely that the beginning has no choice but to obey. The rich live in the end. They walk through the world as if their prayers have already been answered. This is not delusion, it is design. The law of creation demands that the inner precedes the outer. When you act as though you already are, the world rearranges to match your conviction. The poor call this faking it, the rich call it faithing it. Faith is the bridge between potential and manifestation. It is the decision to dwell in the vibration of the fulfilled desire, until the universe concedes. Every master, every prophet, every visionary has lived by this rhythm. They did not try to change the world, they became the change, and the world followed. But to become requires surrender. You cannot bring your old self into the new reality. The identity that created your lack cannot sustain your abundance. The rich understand that transformation demands death, the death of fear, of doubt, of limitation. They do not cling to who they were. They release it like a snake sheds its skin. This shedding is not loss but liberation. Each belief you let go of makes room for a greater version of you to emerge. The poor resist change, mistaking comfort for safety. The rich embrace it, knowing that every rebirth begins in discomfort. They walk willingly into the unknown because they trust the law. The self you dare to be must eventually appear. To master the art of becoming is to live as both artist and canvas. Every thought is a brushstroke, every feeling a hue, every word a texture. You are painting your destiny in real time. The rich paint deliberately. Their inner conversations are sacred, their emotions curated. The poor paint unconsciously, scattering colors of fear and confusion across their world. But here lies the power. At any moment, you may choose again. The brush is always in your hand. You can rewrite your story in a single decision, a single belief, a single act of remembrance. The moment you decide with full conviction that you are what you seek, creation moves instantly. The unseen rearranges. The doors you thought were locked begin to open, for they were never locked at all. They were waiting for you to become the one who walks through them. Chapter 12. The Sacred Science of Receiving. To receive is not an act of taking, it is an act of remembering. The poor struggle to receive because they believe they must earn everything they desire. They carry invisible weights of unworthiness, of guilt, of apology. But the rich, those who walk in divine remembrance, understand that receiving is the most natural rhythm of creation. The flower does not earn the sundae, the river does not plead for rain. They are in harmony with the law of circulation, and therefore they receive without resistance. The universe is constantly giving. Life is pouring its abundance into every open vessel. The question is not whether the supply exists, but whether you are open enough to let it in. You are not blocked by scarcity, you are blocked by disbelief. Receiving begins with recognition. You must first know that you are worthy of what you seek. The poor postpone their worthiness until they deserve it. The rich decide they are worthy now. This is not arrogance. It is alignment. It is knowing that you are a living extension of the source, and the source does not withhold from itself. When you say, "I am ready," the universe answers, "Then let it be done." But readiness is not a word, it is a vibration. You cannot fake openness while clinging to fear. You cannot demand abundance while broadcasting lack. The field reads your energy, not your speech. If your subconscious is still whispering, "I do not deserve this," then the gates of manifestation remain closed. But when your soul declares, "I am the vessel of the infinite," they burst open effortlessly. There was once a woman who prayed for a miracle. Every night she begged for provision, for healing, for change, yet nothing came. One evening, exhausted, she fell silent. She no longer prayed for help. She simply sat in the stillness and breathed. In that quiet, she felt a warmth rise within her, like the gentle hum of creation itself. It said, "Everything you asked for is already yours. You only need to stop refusing it." The next day, opportunities began to appear, not because something new had arrived, but because her resistance had left. This is the law. What you seek cannot come to you while you are pushing it away with your doubt. The rich have learned to stop pushing. They live in quiet allowance, trusting that what is theirs will find them. And it always does. The art of receiving is the art of letting go, of control, of expectation, of fear. The poor are addicted to struggle. They believe nothing valuable can come easily, so they unconsciously create friction. The rich know ease is the evidence of alignment. They do not confuse ease with laziness. They understand it as divine flow. When life moves effortlessly, they know they are walking in truth. The universe does not require exhaustion to bless you. It requires agreement. Your effort is not proof of worth, your receptivity is. To receive fully, you must unclench every spiritual fist. Let go of the story that you must suffer to be blessed. Let go of the belief that abundance is finite. Let go of the guilt that tells you others must lose for you to gain. These are the illusions of a divided mind. In truth, to receive is to expand the whole. Receiving also demands trust in timing. The poor rush the process, mistaking delay for denial. The rich understand that manifestation is gestation, a sacred sequence. A farmer does not dig up his seed to check if it has sprouted. He waits in faith. He waters with gratitude. He tends with certainty. And in due season, the harvest appears. The universe operates no differently. Every desire carries its appointed hour. The rich do not panic in waiting. They prepare. They shape themselves to match what is coming. They know that while they wait, the unseen is working, aligning people, places, and paths. Their calm becomes magnetism. Their stillness becomes signal. The poor, in impatience, disrupt the current. The rich, in faith, allow it to mature. Thus, what takes years for others manifests for them in moments. To receive is the final mastery of the spiritual millionaire. It is to say, I no longer chase, I allow. The rich stand with open hands and open hearts, not begging but welcoming. They know that giving and receiving are not opposites but twins. Every outflow guarantees an inflow. Every act of generosity prepares a channel of return. The more they give, the more they expand their capacity to receive. The poor give in fear, hoping it will earn them favor. The rich give in faith, knowing it is favor. When they receive, they do so without apology, for they know their abundance blesses others. Every dollar, every opportunity, every manifestation becomes a ripple of divine circulation, the infinite giving to itself through them. So learn this sacred science. When you receive, you are not taking from the world. You are confirming that the universe is abundant. You are proving that the source can flow freely through human form. You are testifying that there is no separation between God and creation, between heaven and earth, between desire and fulfillment. The rich do not fear abundance because they know they are abundance in motion. And when you too open yourself completely, without guilt, without hesitation, without resistance, you will see that wealth was never outside you. It was always the river beneath your own ribs, waiting for you to lift the dam of disbelief. Then it will rush through you like light through glass, unstoppable, unending, divine. Chapter 13. The Law of Creative Dominion. Dominion is not domination. The rich do not seek to control others. They seek to command reality through inner alignment. True power is silent, invisible, and absolute, the kind that bends circumstance through consciousness alone. The poor fear power, for they have only seen it abused. The rich revere it, for they understand its sacred nature. Dominion is not about ruling the world. It is about mastering the self until the world must follow. When your mind, heart, and will are unified, creation becomes obedience. The outer world cannot resist the one who governs the inner with precision. To the rich, this is not philosophy but law, a living science of causation. They do not wait for miracles, they generate them through authority of being. The first act of dominion is self-command. The poor are ruled by reaction. Their emotions swing with circumstance, their thoughts scatter like leaves in the wind. The rich move differently, steady, deliberate, sovereign. They know that emotion is energy, and that energy, when mastered, becomes power. Every emotion is either servant or master, depending on awareness. The rich have trained their emotions to serve creation, not sabotage it. When fear rises, they alchemize it into focus. When anger stirs, they transmute it into clarity. Their inner kingdom is not chaotic but ordered, and that order radiates into every area of life. Dominion begins not with wealth but with will, the quiet knowing that you can direct your state at will, no matter the storm around you. There was once a general who could command armies but could not command his mind. Though feared by nations, he was enslaved by his own unrest. One night, an old monk visited his camp and said, "You rule thousands, but none obey you more faithfully than your thoughts. Conquer them, and you will never lose again." The general laughed, until he realized that every battle he had fought was against himself. Years later, the same man returned to the monastery, no longer dressed in armor, but in peace. "You were right," he told the monk. "The war ends where the mind obeys." The rich have learned this secret. They know the world outside is merely a reflection of the mind inside. When the mind is mastered, fortune kneels. The second act of dominion is vision. The rich see further because they see differently. They do not merely look at what is, they perceive what could be. Their vision is not fantasy, it is foreknowledge. Every empire begins in the invisible. Every invention as an inner picture, sustained long enough to become inevitable. The poor use imagination to escape reality. The rich use it to shape reality. They know that what they picture repeatedly with emotion must manifest. They live as though they have already arrived, and therefore they always do. The world calls it coincidence, timing, strategy. But the universe knows the truth. It is obedience to vision. To hold a vision unwaveringly is to issue a decree that even the atoms must obey. The third act of dominion is word. The tongue is the scepter of creation. Words are not idle sounds. They are frequencies that instruct the field of reality. The poor speak carelessly, unaware that every complaint, every self-deprecating joke, every fearful prediction is a spell cast upon themselves. The rich speak with reverence. They know that to say, "I am," is to summon divinity. Their words never contradict their identity. They speak as creators, not victims, and so they create. When they say, "It is done," the universe accepts the command. This is not arrogance but alignment. To speak with dominion is to speak as one who knows that the source and the speaker are one. Every word carries the signature of your belief, and the world rushes to authenticate it. The final act of dominion is surrender, for true mastery is not control but trust. The rich do not wrestle with outcomes, they rest in certainty. Once their intention is set, they release it to the law, knowing it cannot fail. The poor, mistaking worry for work, try to force manifestations into being. But creation does not respond to force, it responds to faith. Dominion is paradox. The more you trust, the more power flows. The more you cling, the more it eludes you. The rich command, not through effort but through embodiment. They have become one with their decree. Their will is the will of the universe, their faith its engine. To them, success is not pursuit but permission. Permission granted to the divine within to move unhindered through form. To live under the law of creative dominion is to realize that you are never at the mercy of fate. You are fate's author. Every condition bends to consciousness. Every moment is malleable. The poor see the world as fixed. The rich see it as fluid. Dominion means knowing that the universe is not happening to you but through you. You are the conductor of an infinite orchestra, and life plays whatever melody you insist upon. When you know this, fear dissolves, hesitation vanishes, and faith becomes effortless. You cease begging the world for favor and begin issuing divine instruction. And the moment you do, all of creation, seen and unseen, begins to move, rearranging itself to serve your decree. This is not magic. It is law, and it has always been waiting for you to remember your crown. Chapter 14. The currency of presence. There is a wealth greater than gold, more potent than influence, more luminous than reputation. It is presence. Presence is power condensed into awareness. The poor overlook it, living fragmented between past regrets and future fears. The rich dwell in it fully, anchoring their consciousness in the eternal now. Every fortune begins here, in the moment that is not bound by time. For presence is not simply being awake, it is being available to creation. When you are truly present, you become a magnet for opportunity, synchronicity, and guidance. The universe speaks only in the language of the now, and only those who are here, completely here, can hear it. Presence is the rarest currency because it cannot be faked. The poor are scattered. Their minds are crowded with noise. They move through life half asleep, driven by the momentum of memory. The rich move slower, but with precision. Their presence fills a room without sound. It commands without aggression. It influences without demand. Why? Because presence is the essence of alignment. The one who is present stands in direct communion with the source. Their energy becomes ordered, coherent, divine. All creation, money, love, success, gravitates toward that coherence. The poor try to force results through action. The rich draw them effortlessly through presence. Once, a young disciple asked his master, "How do I gain power?" The master smiled and poured tea into the student's cup until it overflowed. "Why do you waste it?" the disciple cried. The master said, "So do you. Your cup is full, not with presence, but with noise." The disciple bowed, understanding. For the world does not give power to the distracted. Presence empties the cup. It clears the space for divine inspiration to pour in. When you quiet the mind, when you release the endless striving to get, you become available to receive. Presence is the vacuum through which the universe fills you with new creation. The rich cultivate presence as a daily ritual. They meditate not to escape life, but to merge with it. They walk slowly through silence, allowing each breath to remind them of infinity. They speak with awareness, listen without agenda, and act from stillness. This state of consciousness turns every word into command and every gesture into magnetism. Their presence becomes a living sermon that teaches abundance without speaking of it. They know that when their mind and energy are unified in the present moment, they are one with God. And God never hurries, never doubts, never fears. The poor live in delay because their consciousness is divided. The rich live in acceleration because their consciousness is whole. Presence also dissolves illusion. The poor are haunted by the ghosts of what was and what if. The rich understand that these ghosts have no power in the light of now. When you stand in full awareness, fear cannot survive. Doubt evaporates. Comparison disappears. You see clearly that there is nothing missing, nothing broken, nothing delayed, only life unfolding exactly as it must. This clarity is wealth. It frees the mind from striving, the heart from worry, the body from tension. In presence, You realize that abundance is not coming. It is here. Every need is already met. Every desire already exists in seed form, waiting for your attention to bring it to bloom. To master presence is to master all. The poor fill their days, chasing the next moment. The rich fill each moment with eternity. When you are fully here, you cannot be poor, for lack cannot enter the kingdom of now. It exists only in the illusion of later. The present moment is pure potential, unspent, infinite. When you honor it, it expands. When you ignore it, it collapses. The secret, then, is simple. Be here, not as a body passing through time, but as consciousness creating it. The one who masters presence no longer needs to chase abundance, for abundance is drawn to the vibration of stillness. You become the calm eye of the storm, untouched, unhurried, unbound. And from that center, every treasure the universe has ever held finds its way to you, as naturally as rivers return to the sea. Chapter 15. The source within. All rivers return to the same sea, and all seekers, whether rich or poor, eventually return to the same revelation. The source was never outside of you. The entire journey, every lesson, every loss, every triumph, has been the long road home to this remembrance. The poor wander endlessly, mistaking reflection for reality, hoping that one more achievement, one more possession, one more victory will fill the silence within. The rich know that silence is the treasure. They have found the wellspring within themselves, the consciousness that births all things, sustains all things, and needs nothing. This realization is the final freedom, the end of all striving. When you find the source within, you discover that creation is not something you do, it is what you are. The source speaks in stillness. It does not shout through the noise of ambition, it whispers through the calm of remembrance. The poor fill their minds with plans, chasing futures that never arrive. The rich enter the silence each day, not as an escape, but as communion. In that silence, they hear the pulse of the universe, the same pulse that beats within their own heart. There, they remember that the power they once sought through effort has always been theirs by birthright. They are not beggars at the gate of heaven, they are the gate itself. To know this is to step beyond belief into embodiment, to realize that you and the infinite are one breath speaking through two lips. There was once a mystic who lived in a small village. People traveled from far lands to hear his teachings. One day a man asked, "How do I find God?" The mystic handed him a mirror. The man frowned. "I asked for God, not for myself." The mystic smiled. "Then learn to see no difference." The man left confused, but years later returned transformed. "I understand now," he said. "When I looked long enough, I realized that the eyes which sought the divine were the same eyes through which the divine was seeing." The mystic nodded. "That is the secret of creation. The seeker and the sought are the same. The rich live by this knowing. They do not pray to a distant deity. They speak from divinity, not to it. Their lives are evidence of union, not longing. When you awaken to the source within, life becomes effortless. Manifestation ceases to be a technique and becomes a natural function of being. You no longer attract what you desire, you express it. Abundance flows as easily as breath. The world mirrors your inner peace with opportunities, beauty, and synchronicity. You realize that the same intelligence that moves galaxies also moves your thoughts. Creation was never something outside of you. It was always your own awareness, dreaming itself into form. The poor believe they must fight for survival. The rich understand that life itself is biased toward their expansion. Every challenge becomes a mirror, every delay a refinement, every success a reflection of their inner state. This realization also brings humility. The rich do not see themselves as gods above others, but as gods among gods, each soul a spark of the same infinite fire. Their wealth is not proof of superiority, but of understanding. They do not hoard, because they know the source cannot be exhausted. They do not envy, because they know the source cannot be divided. They do not fear loss, because the source cannot be diminished. The poor live in separation. The rich live in circulation. They give because they cannot help it, for giving is how the source breathes. Their generosity becomes creative power. Their prosperity becomes prayer in motion. Their life becomes living scripture, written not in ink, but in energy. And so the journey ends where it began, within. Every chapter, every revelation, every metaphor has been leading you to this. You are not the reflection, you are the light. The world is your mirror, wealth your echo, life your art. You were never meant to chase abundance. You were meant to remember that you are the source of it. Close your eyes and feel it now. That quiet radiance behind your thoughts, that pulse behind your heart. That is the truth that never changes. That is the law behind all laws. That is the real millionaire's mind. When you live from that awareness, the world bends not because you demand it, but because you are it. Creation recognizes its own voice and responds in kind. Conclusion. The crown of remembrance. You have walked through the temples of thought, the rivers of faith, the halls of identity, and the hidden chambers of creation. You have touched the architecture of wealth not as currency, but as consciousness. And now, at the end of this journey, the veil thins completely. The voice that has spoken to you, the one that called you rich, divine, infinite, was never separate from you. It was your own soul, whispering through the corridors of remembrance, waiting for you to answer. Every truth, every metaphor, every sacred echo has been pointing here, to the throne of your being, where the Creator and creation are one. Look within. Do you feel it? That quiet pulse? That still hum that underlies every breath? That is the source. Unchanging, eternal, abundant, beyond measure. The poor search for it in teachers, temples, and heavens. The rich discover it in silence. It cannot be taught, only remembered. You have spent lifetimes chasing reflections, mistaking the mirror for the light. But now you know, you were the light all along. The wealth you sought was your own radiance reflected through form. Every fortune, every miracle, every impossible manifestation has always been your consciousness remembering its dominion. The secret of rich people's beliefs is not hidden in books or banks, it is hidden in being. When the rich say, "I can," they do not speak to circumstance, they speak to law. They do not see problems, they see projections. They know the outer world cannot exist without their consent. Their faith is not optimism, it is remembrance. They remember that life is not happening to them but through them. They do not resist contrast, for they know it sharpens clarity. They do not fear loss, for they know nothing real can be taken. And they do not chase love, for they have become love itself. This is the final mystery. To stop seeking and start seeing. There was once a seeker who climbed a mountain to ask a sage, "What is the meaning of life?" The sage handed him a cup and said, "Drink." The water was clear and endless. "What is this?" asked the seeker. "The source," said the sage, "always flowing, always within reach." The seeker looked around, confused. "But where is it coming from?" The sage smiled. "From you." And in that instant, the seeker vanished, not into death, but into realization. He understood that he had been the mountain, the sage, the question, and the answer all along. So it is with you now. The journey of wealth was never about becoming more. It was about awakening to the truth that you could never be less. Wealth, power, faith, creation, all of it is an echo of remembrance. You have always been what you seek. You have always been the one the universe listens to. Every dollar, every opportunity, every miracle is drawn not to what you do, but to what you are. The rich have mastered this truth. They live as the vibration of fulfillment, and the universe must match it. They know that abundance is not achieved through action, but sustained through awareness. To maintain that awareness is to live as a living prayer, not begging, not waiting, but being. You are that prayer. Every thought is incense rising to heaven. Every breath is scripture in motion. And so, the teaching ends not with instruction, but with silence, the kind of silence that vibrates with knowing. Stand in that silence now. Feel the wealth that is already pulsing through your veins, the faith that has always carried you, the power that has never left. This is what the mystics meant by, "The kingdom of heaven is within you." It was not metaphor, it was law. The kingdom was never lost, it was only forgotten. And now, remembered, it unfolds before you. Walk through it as its rightful heir. Speak to life as a sovereign, not a supplicant. Think with clarity, feel with gratitude, act with reverence. The field listens to you. Creation obeys you. Reality mirrors you. You are no longer the student of wealth. You are its embodiment. The millionaire mindset is not about money, it is about mastery. To think richly is to think as God thinks, expansively, lovingly, abundantly. To live richly is to live consciously, aware that you are the source of all form, the dreamer shaping the dream. The poor will continue to chase shadows, but you, awakened, will stand in light. You will no longer ask, how, but who am I being? For when the being aligns, the doing becomes effortless, and the having inevitable. This is the eternal circle of creation. Being births doing, doing births having, having confirms being, and when the world looks at you and asks, "What changed?" you will smile softly and say, "I remembered." For remembrance is the only miracle. The moment you know yourself as source, the illusion of separation dies, and life begins again, radiant, abundant, infinite. This is the rebirth of the soul, the wealth that cannot fade, the freedom that cannot be lost. Everything before this was prelude. Everything after this will be expression. You have walked through the fire of forgetting and emerged as light. Now, wherever you go, creation follows. If these words awakened something in you, if they stirred a memory of your own power, speak it into existence. Let the declaration echo across the unseen. I am the source. And so it is.